harm. We're developing a test at Great Plains Laboratory to be able to test definitively just using a urine sample. We're very close to having this test available, but it is, as of today, it is still not available. We expect it perhaps in a month or two. And this particular substance measures a component called the tiglioglycine, and which is a component of a certain metabolic pathway that is screwed up if there's a problem with the mitochondria. So if the person has normal mitochondria, this isoleucine is converted, completely broken down and used up in the Krebs cycle. If there's a defect, like right here, the substance, this is like a log jam. So when you have a log jam, the water can't get through, and all the other logs build up behind it. So it's exactly the same thing. When there's this log jam here, everything in back of the log jam gets held up. And so instead of just being burned up to water and carbon dioxide, it forms this substance called tiglioglycine. So it's a direct indicator of the mitochondria damage. And how does this relate to toxic chemicals? Well, here is the example showing the autism rates in Texas. This is in 1990. The black areas are the areas in Texas where there was the highest incidence of autism. Now you look approximately 10 years later, and you see the black area has spread all throughout Texas. And it's because autism is increasing. So autism has been increasing since 1980. Those of you who went to my talk yesterday know 1980 is the approximate time for the beginning of the autism epidemic just taking off and increasing. And it is the same time that Tylenol and acetaminophen were used to replace aspirin for treating fever in children, leading me to think that that was probably the most serious factor in causing the autism epidemic. But there are other things like the contamination of and pollution. So what this shows is here's Texas looking at those areas that have the highest rate of pollution. So the red area indicates the area of the highest rate of pollution. The areas of the highest rates of pollution overlap almost exactly with the areas where autism is increasing. So even if the acetaminophen is the main triggering cause, all of these additional chemicals in the environment are contributing causes. So all of these keep increasing the chance that a child will develop autism, the exposure to all of these things, with perhaps the acetaminophen being the most serious, because as those who came yesterday remember, the acetaminophen is toxic because it uses up the most important molecule in the body for removing toxic chemicals, called glutathione. So glutathione is responsible for eliminating most of every type of toxic chemical, but the acetaminophen, when it's given, completely uses it all up. So then the body doesn't have any defense against all the other toxic chemicals in our society. A follow-up study was looking at specifically mercury release. And the most common cause of mercury release is coal-burning power plants. So coal-burning power plants are the major cause of environmental pollution. And that is why, even though nuclear power is very dangerous, nuclear power does not release mercury into the environment on a consistent basis. And this is the major reason why you have to be concerned about eating a high seafood diet. It's not because fish are ordinarily contaminated with mercury, it's because they've been contaminated by these coal-burning power plants. That's the major reason for mercury contamination for the entire planet. And this is just going to become worse because China is planning on massive building of that. And of course, that mercury released is going to come right across the Pacific Ocean and land in Vancouver eventually. So this is a major problem. What do we do about our energy, and how can we keep things cleaner? So this study found there was a significant increase in the number of children in special education and autism, and that this was associated with the amount of mercury released in the environment. For every 1,000 pounds of mercury released into the environment, there was a 43% increase in children in special ed and a 61% increase in autism. So a direct relationship between mercury release and the autism increase.